Across America, 28.5 million beef cattle are being raised right now, but almost no one knows how this massive system actually works. This footprint spans the continent, totaling 94.2 million cattle and calves across thousands of farms, while the breeding herd shifts seasonally, climbing from 27.6 million head in January to its summer peak. The network remains anchored in three key states. Texas, Nebraska, and Kansas hold nearly 28% of the national inventory. Together they form the backbone of a highly coordinated agricultural pipeline. Understanding how this vast operation functions means following these animals step by step, tracing their movement from open pastures to the central plains, starting where every calf is born. The journey begins on the quiet stretches of American rangeland. Here, the biological cycle is governed entirely by the seasons. After a gestation period of roughly 285 days, cows give birth during the spring calving window, which runs from March through May. This timing is highly deliberate, aligning the birth of newborn calves with the peak spring growth of early season pasture grasses when nutrition is at its highest. For the next 6 to 8 months, the mother-calf pair remains virtually inseparable. They spend their days grazing together across expansive pastures. To keep this system working without depleting the soil, ranchers rely on rotational grazing. By systematically moving cattle from one paddock to another, they give the native forage time to recover. This practice maintains the health of both the land and the growing herd. Across the brush country of Texas, the rolling dunes of the Nebraska sandhills, and the limestone-capped Kansas flint hills, this phase looks remarkably traditional. Despite the massive scale of the national inventory, early life pasture raising cannot be mechanized. The daily work still depends on the quiet observation of skilled hands. Ranchers spend hours on horseback or in light utility vehicles, checking fences, monitoring herd health, and ensuring newborn calves have successfully bonded with their mothers. It is a slow, methodical process where timing and patience matter far more than speed. On these open grasslands, the foundation of the entire beef system is quietly established, one calf at a time, under the open sky. At 6 to 8 months of age, the quiet life on the pasture comes to an end. This is weaning, the first major separation in a calf's life. By now, the young animals weigh between 500 to 600 pounds, ready to live independently from their mothers. Ranchers guide the calves into sorting pens using low-stress handling techniques to keep the herd calm. Here, workers sort the animals by weight and sex. This sorting ensures they can be managed in uniform groups for the next phase. This transition is also about health. Each calf undergoes a thorough health check, receives essential vaccinations, and begins a process called preconditioning. These steps build their immune systems, preparing them for the wider agricultural network ahead. Instead of heading straight to a feedlot, many newly weaned calves begin a transitional phase known as backgrounding. This stage lasts between 3 and 6 months, acting as a bridge that prepares the growing animals for the intensive feeding ahead. The goal here is not rapid weight gain, but steady skeletal growth. Calves grow slower on purpose, gaining about 1.5 to 2 pounds per day. This deliberate pace builds a strong physical frame and improves how well they utilize feed later on. To achieve this steady growth, operators rely on a diet of 50 to 70% forage and hay, enhanced by modest supplements like corn silage. In the limestone-capped flint hills of Kansas or the rolling sandhills of Nebraska, local resources dictate the exact mix. The calves spend their days grazing native grasses, developing digestive capacity as they grow from 500 pounds to a robust 600 to 800 pounds. However, the duration of this stage is highly flexible. Severe drought or sudden shifts in feed prices can force managers to adjust their schedules, keeping cattle on pasture longer or moving them early. Once the animals build the necessary structural size, they are ready for the next phase of the pipeline. By the way, did you know most of these cattle will travel hundreds of miles before reaching the feedlot? Drop a comment if this surprised you. This distance is a structural reality of the American beef system. The transition from backgrounding pastures to the major feedlots of the Central Plains is a massive logistics operation, turning localized ranching into a vast interstate network. Typically, cattle travel between 200 and 500 miles to reach their destinations, with average hauls often reaching 468 miles. Every day, hundreds of double-deck livestock trailers run along major highway corridors. A calf weaned in western Kansas might travel east to a Nebraska feedlot, while herds from Texas pastures move north across state lines. This constant movement shows that the beef pipeline is as much a transportation system as it is an agricultural one. In states like Texas, Nebraska, and Kansas, dispatchers coordinate hundreds of daily shipments to ensure a steady flow of incoming animals. The trip is tightly regulated to protect the herds during transit. Under the federal 28-hour law, carriers cannot confine livestock for more than 28 consecutive hours without unloading them for at least 5 hours of feed, water, and rest. This legal boundary forces logistics coordinators to plan routes with absolute precision. Yet, long-distance transit raises inevitable questions about animal stress and biosecurity. The physical strain of travel can weaken a calf's immune system, making them vulnerable to respiratory infections. To minimize these risks and prevent the spread of diseases, trucks are cleaned and disinfected between every load. Crews scrape out debris, wash the interior surfaces, and apply approved chemical disinfectants to sanitize the trailers. Once sanitized and reloaded, these trucks maintain a continuous flow, safely bridging the gap between quiet grasslands and the high-capacity feedlots of the Great Plains. The double-deck trailers arrive at massive, grid-like complexes that stretch across the flat horizons of the Great Plains. These are the nation's feedlots, designed entirely for scale, volume, and logistical order. At any given moment, approximately 13.85 million head of cattle are on feed nationwide. The vast majority of these animals, 82.7%, are housed in facilities with a capacity of 1,000 head or more. This is a highly concentrated stage of the pipeline where a small number of large-scale operations shape how millions of cattle flow through the system. This concentration centers heavily in just 3 states. Nebraska leads the nation, holding 2.8 million cattle on feed, which represents 20.22% of the country's total. Texas follows closely with 2.54 million head, or 18.34%, while Kansas holds 2.48 million, representing 17.91%. Together, these 3 states manage 56.5% of all feedlot cattle in the United States. Inside these facilities, the quiet rhythms of the open pasture are replaced by a highly mechanized, scheduled system. Thousands of pens are arranged in precise, rectangular patterns, separated by wide dirt alleys and concrete feed bunks. Every aspect of the layout is engineered to ease movement, cleaning, and feeding. Automated waterers lined up along the pen borders refill on demand, maintaining constant clean water supplies using sensor-activated valves that trigger the moment water levels drop. Feeding is a continuous industrial operation. Heavy mixer wagons blend dry forage, silage, and grain into uniform mixtures, driving slowly down the alleys. Conveyor-style chutes mounted on the side of these trucks distribute the feed directly into the concrete bunks in a single, continuous pass. This mechanization allows a handful of operators to feed thousands of animals with clockwork precision every single day. The atmosphere is defined by this structured routine. Every hour is planned, from the early morning delivery of feed to the constant monitoring of pen conditions. The focus remains entirely on efficient management, transforming the raw volume of millions of animals into a highly ordered flow. As cattle settle into these pens, their diet begins a gradual transition. The high forage diets of their early lives are slowly phased out, preparing their digestive systems for the dense, high-energy finishing rations designed to build muscle and weight. Grain. Finishing represents a complete shift in nutritional science. For 90 to 200 days, the focus turns entirely from structural bone growth to rapid muscle and fat development. This final burst of weight gain is highly calculated, taking a steer from its backgrounding weight to a final target of roughly 1,200 to 1,400 pounds. The diet driving this rapid growth is carefully formulated. Instead of the high forage pastures of their youth, the animals receive a highly concentrated, energy-dense ration. 70 to 80% of this feed consists of processed corn, which provides the starch necessary for marbling. This grain is blended with 10 to 15% distillers' grains, a high-protein byproduct of ethanol production, and 5 to 10% specialized supplements containing essential vitamins, minerals, and microingredients. Speed and efficiency are the primary goals of this stage. Nutritionists formulate these rations to achieve a feed conversion ratio of 6 to 7 pounds of dry matter feed for every single pound of live weight gain. On this high-starch diet, cattle put on weight at an accelerated rate, gaining between 2.5 and 4 pounds per day. This rapid weight gain is highly deliberate, turning grain into high-quality, marketable beef in a remarkably short window. Because of the sheer volume of grain consumed, feed prices dictate the entire economic structure of this phase. Grain markets are highly volatile, and even minor price fluctuations can erase profit margins. In early 2026, the Federal Feed Price Index stood at 114.3, representing a 14.3% increase over the 2011 base. When grain prices rise, the cost of keeping cattle on feed escalates instantly, forcing operators to closely monitor market trends and adjust their buying strategies. This intensive feeding environment requires constant, proactive health management. Licensed veterinarians design strict health protocols to protect the herd. Operators maintain detailed animal health logs checking pens daily for signs of respiratory issues or digestive upset. To improve feed efficiency and promote lean muscle growth, cattle often receive growth-promoting hormonal implants such as trenbolone acetate and estradiol. These implants, which are regulated by the government, allow animals to grow faster using less feed, reducing both resource consumption and overall production costs. The scale of this intensive feeding system also creates significant environmental management requirements. To sustain these operations, facilities draw large volumes of water from regional underground sources, including the expansive Ogallala Aquifer. To protect these water supplies, modern operations install automated, sensor-activated watering troughs that prevent overflow and minimize waste. Managing the resulting animal manure is another major operational task. A single large feedlot can produce millions of pounds of manure. Operators manage this waste through specialized manure systems. Some facilities use covered liquid manure lagoons to store waste while capturing methane emissions. Others compost the dry manure in long windrows, turning it into nutrient-rich organic fertilizer that is eventually spread back onto local crop fields. This cycle returns nitrogen and phosphorus to the soil, supporting the next crop of feed corn and closing the loop on resource use. By the end of this intensive finishing period, the cattle have reached their ideal market specifications. Their feed conversion efficiency begins to drop, signaling that they have achieved their maximum value. They are now fully prepared for the final transition out of the feeding pens and into the national food supply network. Once the cattle reach their target weight, workers gently herd them out of the finishing pens. This step is not a new stage of growth, but a highly coordinated logistical handoff. The animals are guided up non-slip ramps into dual-deck livestock trailers. These trailers typically carry between 150 and 200 head of cattle per load. Unlike the long journeys from distant breeding pastures, this final movement is much shorter. The haul from feedlot to processing facility is usually under 200 miles. Trucks travel along established agricultural corridors, including Interstate 80 in Nebraska, Interstate 70 in Kansas, and Interstate 35 in Texas. These routes lead to major processing centers in towns like Grand Island, Dodge City, and Amarillo. The steady flow of this transport relies entirely on the precise timing of every stage that came before. The years of pasture grazing, careful weaning, backgrounding, and structured feedlot diets all culminate in this single transfer. At the destination, handlers unload the cattle into a quiet, covered holding area called lairage. Here, the animals rest for a brief period, typically lasting 4 to 8 hours. They are provided with clean water and kept in a low-stress environment to remain calm. This resting phase marks the end of the raising process, where the farm network successfully delivers its final product. If you want to see more detailed breakdowns of how our modern food systems operate, subscribe to the channel. Today, this invisible pipeline never stops moving. Across the ranches of Texas to the massive feedlots of Kansas and Nebraska, millions of cattle are constantly in motion. It is a highly synchronized machine operating quietly to feed a nation. If you enjoyed this look behind the scenes, subscribe for more documentaries.